Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, all India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Qatar and France broker deal to get aid and medication to civilians and hostages in Gaza. US welcomes the announcement. Pakistan says Iran violated airspace after its missiles targeted 2 terrorist bases, killing 2 children. Warns the incident could have serious consequences. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate important infrastructure projects related to ports, shipping and waterways sector in Kerala. An energized Indian squad is all set to finish the last T20 series before the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in style, as Men in Blue will take on Afghanistan today. Let's begin with the update on Israel-Hamas conflict. Israel and Hamas have reached a deal to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza. Under the deal brokered by Qatar and France, urgent medication will be provided to hostages held by Hamas. In return, Israel will allow more humanitarian and medical aid into Gaza. The mediating countries said that aid would leave Qatar for Egypt on Wednesday before being taken across the Rafah border crossing. The International Committee of the Red Cross will coordinate the aid on the ground. The United States welcomed Gaza aid agreement. National Security Council spokesperson Adrian Watson said the Biden administration welcomed the announcement by Qatar on the deal to deliver medicine to hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. The Israeli army released a video on Tuesday showing another Hamas tunnel under Gaza's main north-south highway. Part of the footage was captured by a body cam mounted on a soldier going through a tunnel and walking around underground structures. The IDF says the tunnel was used by Hamas gunmen to travel between North and South Gaza undetected. The route, which stretches for hundreds of meters, is approximately 9 meters deep. It was used by Hamas for transfer of terrorists from northern to southern Gaza. Israelis released from captivity in Gaza reconvened on Tuesday to hold a solemn first birthday ceremony for the infant of a family who is still held hostage. Kifir Bibas was 8 months old when Hamas stormed Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th as part of a cross-border killing spree in southern Israel. Kifir became the youngest of around 240 people taken back to the Gaza Strip as captives. Kifir will turn 1-year-old on Thursday, at which point he would have spent a third of his life as a hostage. The US military carried out new strikes in Yemen on Tuesday against anti-ship ballistic missiles in a Houthi-controlled part of the country. The White House said additional US strikes on Tuesday took out ballistic missiles Houthis were ready to launch. During the strikes, one of the missiles struck a Greek-owned vessel in the Red Sea. Attacks by Iran-allied Houthi terrorists on ships in the region since November have affected companies and alarmed major powers. France, on its part, clearly said that it chose not to take part in the US-led strikes because it wants to avoid a regional escalation. President Emmanuel Macron said the country has a defensive approach in the Red Sea and would stick to this stance. Meanwhile, in a bid to cut off their funding and supply of weapons, US President Joe Biden's administration plans to put Houthi rebels back on the US list of terrorist organizations. Meanwhile, the United States has clearly said that they do not expect their strikes on Yemen's Houthi rebels to eliminate the threat posed by the group in the Red Sea. Country's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said this at the World Economic Forum on Tuesday. He stressed that this goes way beyond being a regional challenge, as it is regarding vital artery of the global commerce. Getting you more international updates, Pakistan said that neighboring Iran has violated its airspace, resulting in the death of 2 children. The reaction came hours after Iranian missiles targeted 2 bases of terrorist group Jaish al-Adl on Tuesday. Islamabad warned that the incident could have serious consequences and was completely unacceptable. In a statement released by Pakistan's Foreign Office spokesperson, they lodged a protest with Tehran, and the head of the Iranian mission in Islamabad had been called to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. On Monday, Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards attacked targets in Iraq and Syria with missiles. Jaish al-Adl has previously mounted attacks on Iranian security forces in the border area with Pakistan. Let's get to updates on Russia-Ukraine war now. 2 Russian missiles struck a residential area in the center of Ukraine's Kharkiv on Tuesday. The official said the attack injured 17 people, badly damaging homes. Fires were extinguished in 2 buildings, while other buildings, including residential, sustained damage. Emergency services shared images of rescue teams tackling fires, piles of smashed building materials, and ascending ladders to damaged upper stories. The teams were also searching through piles of rubble to establish if others were injured. The city's mayor said there were 2 powerful explosions and said at least 10 dwellings had been damaged. Polish truckers have agreed to suspend a protest on Tuesday that has been blocking border crossings with Ukraine since November. Poland's infrastructure minister, Dariusz Klimczak, said that the hauliers will suspend their protest until March 1st after signing an agreement with the government. The truckers will stop their blockade on Wednesday while they hold further negotiations with the ministry in order to reach a final deal by March 1st. Polish drivers had been demanding that the European Union reinstate a system whereby Ukrainian companies need permits to operate in the bloc, and the same for European truckers entering Ukraine. The Polish drivers warned that they would return to the border crossings if the infrastructure ministry failed to fulfill its pledges. Meanwhile, Polish President Andrzej Duda, on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, said that Poland needs NATO's support to secure airspace and strengthen security.
I told the Secretary General that an incident with a Russian rocket entering Polish airspace shows a clear necessity to strengthen Poland's security. The presence of systems guarding our skies, our airspace. I remind you that we are in the process of building a 3-layered air defense and missile defense system in our country. But the system is under construction. Today we need support, and that's what we discussed.
Following his address at the World Economic Forum, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky attended the opening of an exhibition at Ukraine House in Davos on Tuesday. Zelensky greeted and hugged children at the event. Zelensky and Polish President Andrzej Duda toured the exhibition, in which 4 contemporary Ukrainian artists depicted Ukraine through a series of video portraits and stories. The exhibition portrays Ukrainians as they defend freedom, endure losses, and achieve targets. French President Emmanuel Macron plans to visit Ukraine in February to finalize a bilateral security guarantee deal involving the delivery of advanced weaponry. Macron added some 40 Scalp long-range missiles and several hundred bombs would be delivered in the coming weeks. France has already delivered about 50 Scalp missiles, 3 times as far as Ukraine's existing missile capacities. Further, Macron also said that Europeans would ramp up their support for Ukraine in the coming weeks. France's defense ministry on Tuesday stated that Ukraine's defense minister will be in Paris on Thursday. All right, let's get to updates from the Korean Peninsula now. South Korea has sanctioned 2 individuals, 3 entities, and 11 ships linked to North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. The sanctions announced come days after North Korea fired a new intermediate-range solid-fuel hypersonic missile, which South Korea and the United States strongly condemned as a serious violation of the UN Security Council resolutions. Seoul's foreign ministry said the newly blacklisted targets have chiefly been involved in illegal energy smuggling at sea. The nuclear envoys of Japan, the United States and South Korea are scheduled to hold talks in Seoul on Thursday. Meanwhile, North Korea's foreign minister has lauded camaraderie ties with Russia on Tuesday. Cho Son-hui said this as she and her Russian counterpart held rare talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Kremlin. Both of them briefed Putin on the results of their talks earlier in the day. Earlier, during her talks with Lavrov, North Korea's Ko hailed progress on implementing agreements struck during Kim's visit to eastern Russia last September. North Korean foreign minister's visit comes as the two countries have drawn closer since the beginning of Russia's military campaign in Ukraine. In the Serbian capital of Belgrade, thousands of opposition supporters rallied peacefully in an anti-government protest to demand the annulment of last month's elections, which were described by international observers as unfair. The rally was also staged to mark the 6th anniversary of the killing of Oliver Ivanovic, a moderate Kosovo Serb politician. Ivanovic was gunned down in front of his party office in 2018 in the ethnically divided town of Mitrovica. The opposition says it also wants the annulment of elections in Belgrade, which ended inconclusively and are seen by many as fraudulent. Italian, Slovenian and Croatian interior ministers met near Croatian-Slovenian border to discuss border checks and border police cooperation related to unauthorized immigration. The ministers met in the town of Buzet 3 months after Italy reinstated police checks at the border in the northeast, suspending the free movement normally allowed within most of the European Union under Schengen Treaty. Immigration has been a hot-button issue in Europe since 2015, when more than 1 million people arrived across the Mediterranean Sea. The Western Balkans route thus accounted for over a quarter of the illegal crossings at the EU's borders in the period. After his Iowa victory, Donald Trump appeared in a federal court in New York on Tuesday for the second time in his bid to deny accusations that he defamed writer E. Jean Carroll, who accused him of sexual assault decades ago. Carroll is seeking no less than $10 million compensation in damages in a civil suit. It will bring the accusation of sexual assault back into the limelight as he seeks the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. The jury will only consider how much Carroll should receive in damages. The U.S. District Court Judge Lewis Kaplan said that the trial is expected to last between 3 to 5 days, though Donald Trump says he wants to testify. The election results in Taiwan have put spotlight once again on Taipei. Beijing warned the Philippines not to play with fire after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. congratulated Taiwan's President-elect Lai Ching-te for his electoral victory. On the other hand, the United States expressed disappointment over Nairu's choice to sever ties with Taipei. We get you a detailed report.
Tiny island nation Nauru's decision to sever ties with Taiwan has triggered a reaction from the United States. A U.S. official who is in charge of managing unofficial ties with Taiwan expressed disappointment over Nairu's choice to sever ties with Taipei.
While the government of Nauru's action is a sovereign decision, it is nonetheless a disappointing one. The PRC often makes promises in exchange for diplomatic relations that ultimately remain unfulfilled.
On Monday, Taiwan had announced decision to sever diplomatic ties with Nauru after tiny Central Pacific island. Nauru declared its intentions to seek formal ties with China. Taiwan's defense ministry said on Tuesday it expects more military pressure from Beijing following elections.
According to the research and judgment of Defense Ministry, the PLA will continue to strengthen its pressure towards Taiwan in the near future through regular combat, readiness patrols and other activities, combining cognitive warfare and grey zone intrusions.
While Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s congratulatory words for Taiwan's President-elect Lai Ching-te angered China, Beijing on Tuesday summoned the Philippine ambassador in China and warned the Philippines not to play with fire. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party won last week's presidential election but lost its parliamentary majority. This means that President-elect Lai Ching-te may have to reach out to opposition parties to appoint a premier who will then form a cabinet. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
All right, we're heading for a short break on DD Indian News Hour, but after the break, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces a major parliamentary showdown on Wednesday over Rwanda asylum plan. A nature photographer captures the largest iceberg in the world. And in Canada, extreme cold turns boiling water to steam, freezes cracked eggs.
Always welcoming. The vibe of Punjab is larger than life. Warm up to grandeur that's beyond compare. And history that's dotted with tales of bravery. Smiling soul of India, where music, art, cuisine and culture comes together to create an unforgettable impression. Punjab is all set to win your hearts with its unique and colorful extravaganza.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour, and I'm Preeti. Let's get you more international updates. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces a major parliamentary showdown on Wednesday over his plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. The Conservative Prime Minister on Tuesday battled to quell growing dissent over his safety of Rwanda asylum and immigration bill, testing his authority with a general election on the horizon. Parliament launched 2 days of debate about the scheme. The Conservative rebels, who back changes to close what they say are loopholes in the legislation, will now have to decide whether to back down or join forces with opposition parties to try to defeat the government at the law's final stage in the House of Commons. With an election due later this year, many Conservative lawmakers are fearful of losing their parliamentary seats. In an after effect, Canada's planned curbs on work by international students could spark shortages of temporary workers as employers deal with a tight labour market and wage inflation grappling the economy. Earlier in December last year, Canadian Immigration Minister Mark Miller outlined measures to address bottlenecks created by a surge in international students blamed for rental shortages. This brought unease in the students who feared of exploitation due to lack of adequate government protection. Ecuador's armed forces have taken patrolling to the country's waterways as part of their efforts to combat criminal organizations. Navy officers looked over the commercial vessels and fishermen navigating near the ports in the Gulf of Guayaquil. These operations provide authorities an opportunity to prevent drugs or illegal substances from being loaded into the vessels headed towards Europe. After a wave of violence that struck the South American country, President Daniel Noboa declared a 60-day state of emergency last week, including a nighttime curfew, and designated 22 criminal groups as terrorists. Colombian military strengthened its forces at the border with Ecuador as 43 prisoners remain at large after escaping a prison in northern Ecuador. General Eric Rodriguez said Colombia's army was in close coordination with Ecuadorian military forces to maintain border security. Police and military personnel are present in jails throughout the Ecuadorian territory after some 200 kidnapped guards and administrative officials were freed from at least 7 prisons over the weekend. Since the state of emergency was declared, security forces have detained more than 1,500 people and have carried out 41 operations against terrorist groups. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi today visited Guruvayur temple in the southern Indian state of Kerala and offered prayers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Andhra Pradesh and Kerala. He will be inaugurating several mega infrastructure projects in Kerala's port city of Kochi later in the day today. These are the visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi today visiting Guruvayur temple in the southern Indian state of Kerala, and he is offering prayers there. As we told you, it will be an important visit of the Prime Minister to the southern Indian state of Kerala with inauguration of more than 40 billion rupees worth of projects. Now, these projects are related to ports, shipping and waterways sector. Before the other engagements, the Prime Minister is at Guruvayur temple in the southern Indian state of Kerala. Prime Minister's visit will give a major boost to the infrastructure in Kerala, and the major boost will be specifically in the sectors of ports, shipping and waterways. All right, let's get to other updates now. And before we get to other updates, a quick word on Prime Minister's visit to Kerala. As we speak, we tell you that the Prime Minister will be inaugurating a number of developmental and infrastructure projects later in the day in Kerala. And here he is seen offering his prayers at the Guruvayur temple in the southern Indian state of Kerala. The Prime Minister has time and again laid emphasis on the ease of doing business, the ease of living, and for the common people to have ease of living would mean enhanced infrastructure in the cities and the places they live in. And today the Prime Minister will be inaugurating a number of development projects in Kerala. At present, he is at the Guruvayur temple. Now, this temple is a Hindu temple dedicated to Lord Guruvayurappan. This is located in a small town of Guruvayur in Kerala. And it is, in fact, one of the most important places of worship for Hindus. And many a times it is often referred to as the Bhuloko Vaikuntham. Now, this is the holy abode of Lord Vishnu on earth. The Prime Minister there paying his respects at the Guruvayur temple in the Indian state of Kerala. The temple has historic importance, and hundreds of thousands of devotees throng the temple every year. The temple also houses the 56 elephants belonging to the temple, and this in fact place is home to the largest population of the male Asian elephants in the world. And up your screens we have the visuals wherein the Prime Minister is visiting. In fact, just a while back he visited Guruvayur temple in the South Indian state of Kerala, and he offered his prayers there. Later in the day, as we told you, the Prime Minister will be inaugurating a number of infrastructure and development projects in the state. We'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, let's turn focus to other updates. In Japan, two passenger planes were collided at Hokkaido Airport on Tuesday. According to officials at New Chitose Airport, a Korean airplane clipped a parked Cathay Pacific aircraft while taxiing to a runway on Tuesday. The incident happened around 5:30 p.m. when the Korean airplane with more than 280 passengers and crew members on board was being pushed by a taxiing vehicle ahead of its flight to Seoul. The plane then hit the Cathay Pacific aircraft, which was parked after all its passengers from Hong Kong had disembarked. Nobody was injured in the incident. Also, no fire or fuel leak was reported. Korean air officials say the towing vehicle skidded on the snowy tarmac, causing the incident. In what was recorded as the second volcanic eruption on the peninsula of Reykjanes in recent weeks, the site of volcanic eruption in the outskirts of Grandavik in Iceland appeared to calm down, although authorities and geologists warn of persisting danger. Officials warned that new fissures could emerge anytime, adding that magma continued to flow underground and it was too early to declare the eruption over. Canada is experiencing record-breaking cold due to a polar vortex. Video shows everyday items like toilet paper, eggs, noodles and hot water completely frozen amidst the extreme icy temperatures in Alberta, Canada. The portions of northern Alberta are forecast to experience extremely cold temperatures that persist until later in the week. Millions of Americans woke to snow, freezing rain and frigid temperatures as an Arctic blast gripped much of the United States, ending a nearly 2-year snow drought in the New York City and putting West into a deep freeze. Record-breaking cold was expected around the Rocky Mountains, Great Plains and Midwest, with wind chills below -1 degree Celsius. At least 5 people have died since the weekend, including 2 from hypothermia in Oregon. A series of major power outages were mostly fixed, but more than 50,000 customers were without electricity in Oregon. More than 3,000 flights in the U.S. were cancelled or delayed. The British Meteorological Office has warned that Tuesday could mark the coldest January night in the United Kingdom since 2010, with temperatures dropping to -15 degrees Celsius in parts of Scotland. This has forced schools to close in Scotland and Northern England, causing travel disruption. Yellow warnings for ice and snow are in force in all the 4 UK nations, with over 40 centimetres of snow expected in northwest Scotland by the end of Friday. Snow, sleet and rain are expected to blanket northern parts of the UK with heavy frosts and freezing conditions across the country. Experts warn of treacherous pavements and roads. Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. More than 200 ancient pre-Hispanic artifacts have been brought back to Peru from various international institutions and collectors around the globe in an effort to reclaim smuggled historical items. Now, some of these objects are more than 2,000 years old, with the oldest dating back to 200 BC. Tickets went on sale for visitors wanting as part of an ongoing trial to check the growing number of tourists and day trippers. A one-day ticket costs $5.45 and will be valid from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. local time, with penalty ranging between $54 to $326. Now, this will come into force from April 25th, which is a national holiday in Italy. A nature photographer captured the world's largest A23A iceberg, which is drifting past the northern tip of the Antarctic Peninsula, aided by strong winds and currents. The iceberg, which was once stranded after its base became stuck on the Weddell Sea floor, has been drifting off West Antarctica's Flischner-Ronne ice shelf since 1986. Satellite images show the iceberg's movement. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, with the second day of rituals being conducted in Ayodhya, the last day preparations to ornament the city continue ahead of the grand consecration of the Ram Temple. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's native village, Vadnagar in Gujarat, has caught the fancy of archaeologists. Why? We tell you ahead. An ice skating competition was organized in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh, but with a twist. Stay with us to get the details.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook of the top stories once again. Qatar and France broker deal to get aid and medication to civilians and hostages in Gaza. US welcomes the announcement. Pakistan says Iran violated airspace after its missiles targeted 2 terrorist bases, killing 2 children. Warns that the incident could have serious consequences. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate important infrastructure projects related to the port, shipping and waterways sector in Kerala. An energized Indian squad is all set to finish the last T20 series before the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in style, as Men in Blue will take on Afghanistan today. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate 3 major infrastructure projects worth more than 40 billion rupees related to ports, shipping and waterways sector. Now, these major infrastructure projects are in line with Prime Minister's vision to transform India's ports, shipping and waterways sector and build capacity and self-sufficiency in it. The new dry dock, built at the existing premises of CSL Kochi, is a flagship project reflecting New India's engineering prowess. This one-of-a-kind 310 meters long stepped dry dock is one of the largest marine infrastructures in the region. The International Ship Repair Facility project is a unique facility of its own. It has a ship lift system with a capacity of 6,000 T, transfer system, 6 workstations and a berth of approximately 1,400 meters, which can accommodate 7 vessels of 130 meters length simultaneously. The ISRF will modernize and expand the existing ship repair capabilities of CSL and will be a step towards transforming Kochi as a global ship repair hub. The Indian Oil's LPG import terminal at Puthuvipin, Kochi, boasts state-of-the-art facilities. With a 15,400 empty storage capacity, the terminal will ensure a steady supply of LPG for millions of households and businesses in the region. This project will further strengthen India's efforts towards ensuring accessible and affordable energy for all. With the commissioning of these 3 projects, the nation's shipbuilding and repair capacities, as well as growth of energy infrastructure, including ancillary industries, will get a boost. The project will also boost EXIM trade, reduce logistics costs, drive economic growth, build self-reliance, and create numerous domestic and international business opportunities. And time now to get you all the buzz which is being generated in the build-up to the consecration ceremony of the Ram Temple in India's holy city of Ayodhya on 22nd of this month. The temple town of Ayodhya wore a festive look on Tuesday with special rituals, including Dashrath Mahal, were organized, marking the start of an event that will culminate with the opening of the Ram Temple on January 22nd. 121 priests chanted Sanskrit hymns and performed Vedic rituals. The designated host appointed by Temple Trust, Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra, conducted the atonement ceremony. On Wednesday, a procession will carry the idol of Lord Ram in his childlike form to Ayodhya, with devotees carrying Saryu water in Mangal Kalash en route to the temple. As the date for consecration ceremony of the Ram temple in Ayodhya comes closer, travel portals in India are seeing a jump in search and bookings, not just for Ayodhya but across religious places. Among the celestial hotspots, Ayodhya emerges as the reigning star. This surge in spiritual tourism not only signifies a growing interest in India's sacred sites, but also underscores Ayodhya's newfound prominence on the global spiritual map. Preparations for the inauguration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya are in full swing, and the fervour is just going to escalate as Ram Leela depicting the life of Lord Ram has been organised in Ayodhya. As the consecration ceremony is slated for January 22nd, individuals lit up earthen lands along the serene banks of Saryu River, engaging in the age-old tradition to symbolize spiritual significance of the upcoming ceremony. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has shared a last verse recorded in a melodious voice of Lata Mangeshkar. Remembering Lata Mangeshkar, Prime Minister tweeted that the nation awaits 22nd January with great enthusiasm. One of the people who will be missed is our beloved Lata Didi. Depicting the temple in Ayodhya, along with intricately crafted idols of Lord Ram and others, Mamta Goel, an artist from Meerut, is showcasing her devotion through her unique artwork featuring sculptures and idols of Ram temple on the leaves. She is aspiring to showcase her creation at the consecration ceremony on January 22nd in Ayodhya. All right, let's turn focus to weather updates from across the country now. Many states of north and central India are in the grip of dense fog. For the last 24 hours, dense fog has been prevalent in many parts of Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Chandigarh, Delhi, Punjab and some parts of North Rajasthan and North Madhya Pradesh. Light rain has been recorded at many places over parts of southwest Uttar Pradesh and southeast Haryana and eastern parts of Punjab. The Meteorological Department has predicted that dense fog will persist in North India for the next 5 days. Cold day to severe cold day conditions are likely to continue in many parts of North India, in which the temperature may increase after the next 2 days. DD India correspondent Aditya Srivastav joins us with more from central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. He's there in Bhopal. Aditya, good morning. You just told our viewers how frigid and cold the weather is in North India. You're there in Bhopal. Let us hear from you. How has the morning begun there?
Preeti, due to the the western disturbance on western Himalayan region, cold wave and cold day condition is continuing in the North India states like Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, and other still some part of Uttar Pradesh. In Punjab and Haryana, some of cities are witnessing under the 4 degrees Celsius, under the number of 4 degrees Celsius, the temperature reduced. We can say the official, my department official said that no change will go going on next 4 to 5 days, the fog, dense fog or very dense fog condition is also continues in north and central India, we can say. So visibility problem is also facing by the people who are driving on the roads. There are some trains are also get late. But yes, this is good news for the people who are traveling on the aviation. No flight delay. We can say in some of the cities, local administration also declared that also changed the school timing of some of the cities of like Haryana. In central India, we can talk about the Bhopal, Indore, Gwalior, Jabalpur. So we can say there will be no change for next 4 to 5 days, like dense fog situation, like cold wave situation, cold day situation will be continued for next few days.
All right, cold wave conditions will continue for the next few days, Aditya. Any word of caution, especially by the authorities there? And also, can we get more details about any word of caution for the school-going children? Are the schools closed in Bhopal, in Madhya Pradesh?
Yes, local administration also changed the timing of the schools. That the schools are start from 10 a.m. not in early morning. Those who are not in the, those who are staying on the roads, local administration trying to stay on the shelters. Some the bones are also. Some bonfire is also arranged by the local administration. Doctors also advised to stay at the home. Not if there is no emergency, please don't get out from the home. So we can say this is the situation of not only central India, but yes, North India also.
All right, Aditya. So the cold and frigid conditions will continue for the next few days. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And up next, we take a look at other stories making to the headlines from across India. The remains of a 2,800-year-old human settlement have been discovered in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's native village, Vadnagar in Gujarat. A joint study by the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and Archaeological Survey of India has discovered evidence of the full-fledged human settlement. The authorities have unearthed more than 100,000 remains so far. Republic Day parade rehearsals are in full swing in India's capital of Delhi. The parade is underway at Kartavya Path from Vijay Chowk to India Gate. India will be celebrating the 75th Republic Day on January 26th. The French President Emmanuel Macron will be the chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations this year. On the birth anniversary of the 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the celebrations began in the Golden Temple, Amritsar, in the Indian state of Punjab. This is the 357th birth anniversary of the 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji. The Gurudwara was decorated beautifully with colourful flowers as people thronged in large numbers to seek the blessings. A fancy dress ice skating competition was organized in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. This year, the organizers have good sessions as clear weather has provided skating climate for them. Over 100 boys and girls participated in the event. The local residents and students enjoyed the charm of over a century-old Shimla Ice Skating Club. All right, up next, a quick break. But after the break, bill to avert a partial U.S. government shutdown beginning this weekend clears the first procedural hurdle in the Senate. Second seed Satwik and Chirag to face world number 25 Fang Zhenli and Fang Chi Li of Taipei in their opening round of India Open Badminton Tournament in Delhi. An Indian women's hockey team storms into the semi-finals of the FIH Hockey Olympic Qualifiers 2024.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to updates from the world of business now. U.S. stocks declined on Tuesday after mixed earnings from Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs pressured the banks. Moreover, sell-offs in Boeing and Apple weighed on the S&P 500. The index declined by 0.37%, whereas the Nasdaq was lowered by 0.19%. And Dow Jones Industrial Average again declined by 0.62%. The U.S. Senate on Tuesday took the first step towards passing a bill to keep the government funded into March. In a 68-13 vote, the upper chamber advanced a bill that will serve as a vehicle for the stopgap measure known as a continuing resolution. It would extend government funding deadlines to March 1st and March 8th to give both chambers time to approve longer-term funding. The vote will put the Senate on track to pass the continuing resolution before Friday. If passed, it will be the third short-term spending deal that Congress has passed since September. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, National Security Advisor of the U.S. Jake Sullivan on Tuesday said that U.S. restrictions on advanced chips to China are about safeguarding security and not disrupting commerce. He added that these tailored measures are not a technology blockade, nor do they restrict broader trade and investment. U.S. restrictions on semiconductors had a broad carve-out for commercial chips, the kind of chips that can help power economic progress. Meanwhile, earlier in the day, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang denounced discriminatory trade barriers as a threat to global economy in a clear reference to U.S. actions. Thousands of people attended a protest in Cologne in western Germany against the far right on Tuesday. The protest is one of several over the last few days in Germany. Members of far-right opposition party Alternative for Germany had attended a meeting where expelling citizens with foreign ethnic backgrounds was discussed. Protesters attending the protest in Cologne said that they were worried about the increasing rise of right-wing ideology in Germany, with one calling for government to do something. The Alternative for Germany, in fact the AfD, is soaring in polls ahead of the regional and European elections this year. Emmanuel Macron urged the French to be united to make the country stronger 1 week after appointing France as president. In a news conference, Macron announced a wide array of measures from registering children's screen time to increasing parental leave payments. Macron also said that he would ask his government to launch a new batch of liberal reforms to boost the economy, saying the country needed to was encouraged to produce more and innovate more. Discontent over surging living costs and last year's reforms have seriously hit Macron's ratings and his chances in the European Parliament elections in June, where his party trails badly behind Marine Le Pen's far-right national rally. In a nod to that, Macron confirmed plans for tax cuts for the middle class and said electricity would remain substantially cheaper than in some neighbouring countries, but gave no details. There is no blind spot in France, which means many of our compatriots earn too much to get help, but not enough to live well, Macron said. He said he wanted to address that.
Après l'allongement du congé paternité,
France will be stronger in this world of upheaval if we are more united. I'm convinced that we have all the assets we need to succeed. There is a blind spot in France, which means many of our compatriots earn too much to get help, but not enough to live well.
All right, time now on DD India News Hour to get you updates from the world of sports. Energized Indian squad is all set to finish the last T20 series before the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in style, as Men in Blue will take on Afghanistan today. With the series in the bag, the Rohit Sharma-led side will look to experiment as the bench players look to make a case for their inclusion in the World Cup squad. On the other hand, Afghanistan will try to salvage some pride in the final encounter. India's world number 2 and Asian Games gold medalists Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty will be in the doubles action today. Apart from them, the country's men's doubles squad at India Open consists of M.R. Arjun and Dhruv Kapila, as well as Sai Prateek and Krishna Prasad Garaga. Kidambi Srikanth, Kiran George and Satish Karunakaran are also part of India's men's singles squad at the event. The Indian women's hockey team stormed into the semi-finals after a splendid 5-1 win against Italy. Udita, Deepika, Salima Tete and Navneet Kaur scored winning goals for India. In the next hurdle towards winning the Paris Olympics berth, India will take on table toppers of Pool A, that is Germany, in the semi-finals on 18th of January, while in the other semi-final, US will face Japan. India's Sumit Nagal has created history as he becomes the first Indian to reach the second round of the Australian Open after 11 years. The Indian number 1 tennis star outclassed 31-seeded Alexander Bublik in straight sets 6-4, 6-2, 7-6 to progress into the second round of the prestigious tournament. After the historic win, Sumit Nagal shared his feelings with DD India. Let's listen in.
I was keeping my focus very narrow, trying to focus on myself as much as possible. Of course, you know there's a score behind you, you know what is going on. But I was really trying hard to do the things that I was supposed to do on the court and keep the tactic, keep working on the tactics. It's a very proud and happy moment, I would say. Probably my second time in my career that I made a second round of a slam. Beating a seed for the first time. It was a very good match. I'm happy the way I could perform today.
All right, let's get to action with regard to the women's segment in tennis. Olympic tennis champion Alexander Zverev won his opening match at the Australian Open. We'll get to the women's action in a while. Let's take a look at the action in the men's category. The 6-seeded beat fellow German Dominik Kopfer 4-6, 6-3, 7-6, 6-3 in a night match in Melbourne's Margaret Court Arena. 11th seed Casper Ruud advanced to the second round of Australian Open, beating Spaniard Albert Ramos Vinolas 6-1, 6-3, 6-1 at Melbourne Park. Rudd will play the Australian Max Purcell. Getting you the women's action, a Kazakh Elena Rybakina, world number 3 seed, won against Karolina Pliskova 7-6, 6-4 to advance to the second round of the Australian Open at Melbourne Park. Rybakina will play Russian Anna Blinkova next. Emi Raducanu returned to Grand Slam action in emphatic fashion, comfortably beating American Shelby Rogers 6-3, 6-2 to move into the second round of the Australian Open. Victoria Azarenka will face off against Danish rising star Clara Tauson in the second round of the 2024 Australian Open on Thursday. Azarenka sealed a 6-1, 4-6, 6-3 win, breaking her opponent's serve in the final game of the match. Iga Swiatek defeated former champion Sofia Kenin in her first-round match, securing a 7-6, 6-2 win. Despite a strong start from the American, Swiatek showcased her problem-solving skills and resilience to storm into the second round. Bangladesh all-rounder Nasir Hussain has been banned from all cricket after accepting charges of breaching the ICC anti-corruption code. Hussain was charged by the ICC in September last year, admitted to 3 charges and has been handed a 2-year ban with 6 months suspended. Hussain will be free to resume international cricket on 7th of April 2025, provided he satisfies the conditions in rest to suspended part of the sanction. All right, from here we now take you to the United Kingdom. Liverpool residents experienced heavy landscapes due to snowfall, causing traffic and travel disruptions. Shop openings were delayed due to adverse conditions. A Met Office weather warning for snow and ice remains in place for the Merseyside region until midnight. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.